Poor farmer hit a wounded giant princess. Next day, the chief paid off all his ranch debts. The night the sky split with lightning, Eli Marsden thought the storm was the only danger crawling across his broken acres. He was wrong. The true danger came crashing through. His north fence with a sound like falling timber, followed by a cry so deep and raw it froze him halfway to his barn. It didn't sound human, didn't sound animal, didn't sound earthly. It sounded like the world itself was hurt and begging. Eli raised his lantern, boots sinking in wet mud as he moved toward the broken fence. He expected a steer, maybe a wild stallion. Instead, the lantern beam struck a shape so large it made his chest cave in with fear. A woman, no, something more. A towering figure slumped against a cottonwood, blood darkening her shoulder, her braids thick as coiled ropes, her chest rising and falling with painful shudders. She was larger than any person he had ever seen, nearly 7 feet by his quick guess, every line of her body carved like stone and strength. But her face? Her face held the softness of someone too, young to deserve whatever had happened to her. Her eyes opened, glowing, fierce, suddenly aware of him. She reached for something at her waist, but her hand fell limp before she could grasp the knife. "Easy," he whispered, though his voice trembled. "I ain't here to harm you." She tried speaking, but the words came out in Apache, a language he knew only a little from trading trips. He caught only 3 things: princess, danger, hunters. Eli swallowed hard. If she was Apache royalty, then someone powerful wanted her dead or captured. And if anyone knew she was hiding on his land, they'd burn his ranch down and hang him from the gate without asking questions. But he didn't walk away. Maybe it was because her face held pain too deep for him to ignore. Maybe it was because he was a poor farmer with nothing left to lose, debts piled taller than haystacks, ranch on the brink of foreclosure, no family left to mourn him. Maybe it was because he could see fear in her eyes that didn't belong to someone built like a living mountain. He set the lantern down and crouched. "I'm gonna help you, all right?" She blinked slowly as if fighting to stay conscious and gave the smallest nod. He worked fast, ripping open his own coat to press it against her wound. The rain mixed with her blood, forming a pink river down her arm. She winced but didn't fight him. When lightning cracked overhead, he saw the arrowhead still lodged deep in her shoulder. Jagged stone, not cavalry made. Someone from her own world had done this. He had no time to wonder why. He dragged his wagon around, used every ounce of strength to help her climb into the back she outweighed him by more than he dared guess, and covered her with old tarps and feed sacks. He pulled her to the barn, lifting her arm around his neck during the hardest steps, sweat pouring down his face. The whole time she didn't make a sound. Inside the barn, he laid her on a bed of old wool blankets, his lantern casting shaky shadows against the beams. The storm kept pounding as if trying to break the roof off. Eli dug out his old medical, kittlekinde leftovers from the war, and with trembling fingers snapped the arrow shaft. She tensed, jaw tight, but didn't scream. When he pulled the arrowhead free, blood flowed fast, frighteningly fast. "Stay with me," he muttered, pressing cloth hard against her skin. Her voice, low but strong even through pain, whispered, "You, brave farmer." He chuckled shakily. "Brave or stupid, we'll find out." He cleaned the wound as best he could, stitched it with thread better suited for saddle repair, and wrapped her arm with all the bandages he had. Her breath slowed. Her eyes softened. When dawn bled across the plains, he found her asleep, her large frame barely fitting the improvised bed, her hair like spilled ink across his oldest blanket. For a moment he simply stared. He knew this moment could be the last peace he'd have, because somewhere out there someone was hunting her, and they were getting closer. By late morning, hoofbeats thundered in the distance. Eli rushed outside to see 3 riders cresting the ridge. White men, armed, moving fast. "Apache trackers," he whispered. "Or bounty hunters." He glanced back at the barn. The giant princess slept inside, vulnerable, trusting him. Something twisted in his chest. He moved to the gate just as the riders reached his property. "Morning, farmer," the lead rider called. "Storm got you bad last night."
"Fence is down," Eli replied.
"Spent half the night fixing it. We're looking for someone," and the man said, adjusting his rifle. Tall Apache woman, dangerous, might have run this direction. Eli felt the lie burning in his throat before he spoke it. "Haven't seen anyone." The men exchanged glances. One rider circled toward the barn. Eli stepped forward, blocking the path subtly but firmly. Storm spooked my horses, he said quickly. Ain't safe walking around behind barns when they're jittery. The rider frowned. We'll check anyway. Just then a loud crash sounded from inside. The giant princess shifting in her sleep. Or maybe knocking over a feed bucket. Eli's blood froze. The rider's head snapped toward the barn. Thought you said no one was here. It's my bull, Eli said instantly. Meanest son of a gun I own. The men weren't convinced. Rifles lifted. Eli realized he had seconds. He stepped in front of them. You ain't got permission to poke around my land. One rider spat. We ain't asking. But before they could push past him, a sound tore across the plains, a deep, echoing war horn. Then another. Then dozens. The Apache were coming. The riders paled. Damn it, go, move! They spun around, galloping away as fast as they'd arrived. Eli stood there shaking, breath ragged. The war horns grew louder, rolling from the valley, the ridge, the hills. A full war party, and they were coming straight toward his ranch. He ran to the barn. The giant princess was sitting up, teeth clenched, trying to rise despite the fresh bandage. My people. Coming, she forced out. They think I'm dead. Or captured. And if they find you here like this? Eli asked. She met his eyes. They kill whoever took me. They kill fast. No questions. Well, that's just great, he muttered, heart pounding. What do we do? She stood slowly, towering over him even while wounded. She placed her large hand on his shoulder. You saved me. I will speak for you. But you must trust me. I already made that mistake, he said with a shaky smile. Might as well keep going. The thunder of hooves grew close. A swarm of warriors appeared at the ridge. Dozens, their horses powerful. Their war paint like shadows moving with purpose. At their front rode a massive figure, Chief Coda, the most feared Apache leader on the frontier. The princess stepped outside, leaning slightly but steady. When the warriors saw her alive, a cry rose, a mix of relief and fury. Chief Coda dismounted and strode toward her, eyes filled with fire. Daughter, princess of our blood, who did this? Where were you? She placed a hand on her father's arm. Hunters, traitors, they betrayed us. I escaped. This farmer hid me, saved me. Or I would have died. The chief turned to Eli, cold, unreadable. Eli swallowed hard, ready to die but refusing to step back. The chief stared long enough to freeze the air. Then he bowed his head. You protected my daughter, he said. When others would trade her for gold. When hunters would sell her for power. Eli exhaled shakily. Anyone would have... No, the chief interrupted. Not anyone. The warriors dismounted, bowing their heads toward the princess and then toward Eli. It was the most terrifying honor he'd ever felt. Then Chief Coda spoke again. You saved royal blood. We repay blood with life? I don't need nothing, Eli said, embarrassed and scared of what he might be offered. Just glad she's breathing. You need more than nothing, the chief said firmly. Your debts drown you. Your land suffers. Your walls crack from weight you cannot carry. Eli blinked. How do you know that? Because we watch everything, the chief said simply. And because gratitude must be full. He lifted his hand. Two warriors stepped forward carrying heavy leather satchels. They placed them at Eli's feet. Eli opened one. Gold. More than he'd ever seen. Enough to buy his ranch 10 times over. Chief Coda said, Your debts are paid. Your land is safe. Your children's children will remember this day. Eli shook his head in disbelief. I can't take this. You will, the giant princess said softly. Because you saved me when I had nothing to give. She stepped toward him, towering, powerful, even while wounded. She placed her hand against his cheek, a gesture surprising in its tenderness. You are friend of our people now, she said. Forever. Eli felt something tighten in his throat. Take care of yourself, all right? She smiled. You too, brave farmer. The Apache mounted up again. The princess, still wounded but held high, rode beside her father. Before disappearing into the valley, she turned once, looking back at Eli with a long, meaningful gaze. Then they were gone. 2 days later, town officials arrived at Eli's ranch, shocked to find his debts fully paid by an unknown benefactor. No questions asked, no explanations given. But Eli knew. Every night afterward, when he heard distant thunder rolling through the canyons, he wondered if it was just weather, or if the giant princess and her people were, reminding him that the bond between them would never break. and sometimes on still nights he could swear he heard her voice in the wind. Brave farmer. The sound always made him smile.